In taking a look at issues of our national and local food systems, it can be extremely overwhelming to look at just how mind-boggling systems of distribution, regulation, policies, industrial farming, and to most of us, it's just a complete, total mystery of how our food even reaches our plates. And looking at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and asking just the simplest of questions of, what is it that we're exactly eating? How did it reach our plates? And who took part in getting it there? As these questions become increasingly harder to answer, we can see a prevalence of dietary-related illnesses such as diabetes and obesity, especially in the areas of southern Appalachia and the Deep South. We can also see a similar correlation in what's being termed food deserts, where people have little to no access to fresh, healthy foods. Now, these statistics can seem really daunting, but that's where design gets exciting, because design can develop opportunities to do something about this. Now, I've been really lucky to partner with Georgia Organics over the past 6 months, and we both agree that a sustainable local food system is critical to the future of Georgia's health, environment, and economy. And looking at some economic factors, Georgia Organics worked with the University of Georgia's College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences Center for Agribusiness and Economic Development. It's written really tiny right there. Last year, in order to find some numbers about just what it would mean to purchase locally grown foods. Now, agriculture is the #1 industry in the state of Georgia right now. And there are 3.7 million households in the state of Georgia, and if they spent just $10 a week per household on locally grown foods, that just means foods grown in Georgia, that could bring in $1.9 billion in revenue for the state each year. Pretty awesome. Now, I'm not an economist, and I'm not a farmer, but I am a designer, and I see myself as an agent of change in this story. And the story that I've been able to tell through working with Georgia Organics is Foodscape Savannah. Through Foodscape Savannah, I've been able to meet a great deal of people throughout the city, going to various sites and having wonderful conversations. Tom Palmer at Trustee's Garden relayed the amazing history of the very first agricultural experiment station in colonial America, learning what crops can grow here, what can actually work. Also telling me about how the site later became a fort, and how then it also became one of the first industrial sites in the South as a gas plant. And then in the mid-1940s, it was also spurred the historic preservation movement. Very fascinating stuff. Got me really pumped up. Because at first, when I first started talking to Georgia Organics about doing this tour for their conference that was held here in March, they were like, well, you're going to have to be the tour guide. And I felt very, very uncomfortable about that. I didn't see myself in that role. But after talking to him, visiting the Georgia Historical Society, and seeing what amazing evidence I could discover about the food landscape, the past and present history of Savannah through food, I started getting really pumped up. I also met with some more amazing people in Savannah, like Emma Adler, a local historic preservationist, and her friend Susie Williams, who is a organic gardening advocate. And I met with them at a fantastic lunch at Cafe 37, and we talked all about the city market and their memories of growing up in Savannah, food carts, farms, and the changing roles of what food and buying food meant to them. I've also done a good deal of work with Savannah Urban Garden Alliance, Kelly Lockamy, and Peter Dolliber at the Broad Street YMCA with their educational garden. And moving westward, it's been a real pleasure working with Tyrone Ware and the Woodville community and learning about their very rich agricultural past and present. So through I think I might have gotten a little bit ahead of myself, but I created this tour that was prototyped, amazingly prototyped, at the Georgia Organics Conference in March. And there we were able to actually have a huge motor coach with 56 participants taking people on this tour. And Kelly and Tyrone were there to help me through, so I didn't have to do that whole tour guide duty all by myself. You can see me up there, blah, blah. It was really great. And I also made some booklets, seeing how my graphic design background could impact the knowledge and understanding of the past and present of the city. What I want to do is give you a very brief outline of the tour, kind of starting from the back and moving through. It was so striking to really get to discover Savannah. I'm not from Savannah, I'm from East Tennessee. But really learning so much about this city through its agricultural history was amazing. These images here are of Hermitage Plantation and now Mary Calder Golf Course. And this is on the land of International Paper. And if you've ever been out to International Paper, it's a huge industrial site. So what you're seeing here, if you're looking this way, then you're going to see a great deal of smokestacks and railroad cars and whatnot. But there's no marker to state that this was one of the largest plantations in Savannah. Now, you don't see that at all. But what you do see is this haunting row, Oak Avenue row, that still remains, and it's quite fascinating. Now, this is separated by from the Woodville community by Interstate 516. So having Tyrone Ware of Woodville to take me through this space and talk about what this has meant to him was quite a beautiful and moving experience. And it also really illustrates our transition throughout this country from industry to from agriculture to industry. And it happened not only here in our microcosm, but all over our country. And hearing other stories from Tyrone about the ties to the land and food and agriculture. When he was a kid in the 60s, he said that he remembered women carrying baskets on their heads to market, down to City Market, and I guess City Market wasn't there in the 60s, but still taking them into market to sell. And I found this image from Harper's Illustrated. It's from 1875, and it's called Going to Market, a scene from Savannah, Georgia, or a scene near Savannah, Georgia. And when he saw this, he said, that has to be from Woodville. They have to have come from Woodville. That's amazing. And the women here on the right are it's an image from City Market from 1952. So you're seeing the similar baskets and this long heritage of people carrying goods into market to sell. So the connection from land directly to market was so close. It was so easy, so palpable to feel. And looking at the market itself that was here on Ellis Square, there was a market that was there for over, well, a little less than 200 years. The Ellis Square stood as a market center. And this market that we see here was the fourth consecutive market that was built, actually. And just looking at the architecture, we can see the beautiful vaulted ceilings and the arched windows and the ability for the truck farmers just to come right in. And the architecture had extreme significance to the place. And when this market was torn down, it was torn down in the name of progress for having air-conditioned shopping and lots of parking. That's what was going on in the 1950s, of course. Now, there were a few proponents in the city to say, yes, let's tear it down, but a great majority of people were very disturbed and upset by the tearing down of the market. And that really continued to spark the historic preservation movement in Savannah. That was really the last straw in a series of demolitions in the 1950s. So as I said, we tore this down for parking and air conditioning, and I think it's really fascinating to take a look at our Kroger's downtown, and this is our marketplace now. We do also have a Food Lion that's gone up recently, but simply copying that facade of the city market and seeing how much we want parking and air conditioning. You can see the HVAC units on top from the aerial view. It's just a pretty fascinating metaphor for what we value today when it comes to food and our shopping experience. Oddly enough, the Publix on Abercorn has a very similar facade as well. Even more parking. And I think even more air conditioning. So if we go back to why that city market was torn down, we can see this is actually an image of the parking garage that was put up in 1954 on Ellis Square. Emma Adler gave me this image. And she also told me that people still came to set up around the city around this parking garage years after it was erected to sell their goods. It was such an ingrained part of their lives that it couldn't be taken away. It's pretty fascinating. So today we see Ellis Square, and it's been restored to a lovely green space, and I must add that it is LEED Gold certified, which is pretty cool. Still have parking. It's just very cleverly hidden underground. Got to have our parking. Now, from the tour, the bus tour that I did, we had a great deal of feedback from the participants. And prototyping the tour, we realized what they really wanted to see was actually people growing food, and they also wanted to eat some food, which I'm going to try to solve that for future tours. But Savannah Urban Garden Alliance, what really struck people was simply the educational garden at the Broad Street Y, seeing the impact of 4-year-olds, pre-K kids, actually planting, harvesting, weeding, taking broccoli home to their families. It's pretty cool, and it's something that's really going to stay with them for the rest of their lives. And then in Woodville, okay, I have to mention this guy here. His name's Levon Oliver. He's 98, and he really wanted me to tell all of you that he's 98. Okay, so I've done my job. So in Woodville, you've got a great many people that are over 90. Most of them keep gardens all year round, and they're really sharing that knowledge with the young people in the community as well. And they're really trying to support community gardens and boost up youth participation and promote health that way. And if we take a look now about how can we increase urban farming within Savannah, you can see quite a bit of vacant areas. This pink and the dark red is going to be vacant and underutilized areas. Thinking about bringing in urban agriculture could really boost jobs, alleviate a lot of those food deserts that we've been talking about, and be a pretty exceptional addition to our community for local food. Now, one thing I've done in order to try to keep talking about these things, because I am a designer and I build websites and things like that, is I put something online in hopes to create that online network, but more importantly, push through something that's positive and meaningful in a personal connection, because that's really where things make a difference, and that's where you get people engaged. So we can talk about it all day long, but if we don't really engage people somehow, it doesn't really make any difference. So if we can boost those social networks, we can also hopefully build positive feedback loops that increase economics and increase the health of our community, people in our community, and also the environmental health of our community. The next event that I'm hoping to, or that we will be conducting, is branching out from just working with Georgia Organics and Sugar and Woodville, but also a new good food organization here in Savannah called Slow Food Savannah, and partnering with them and Greenbridge Farm, a farm about 30 miles northwest of here, in order to have a farm dinner and bring new people in that maybe haven't experienced eating dinner on a farm or seeing where their food is coming from, shortening that distance and really using design as a facilitating mode to connect people. So in the end, we can see that this is an extremely complex situation. If you're really trying to look at food systems by yourself, you can't see them all. It's too big. We can't see the whole system. No one person can. But with design, we can bring it down into bite-sized pieces so that we can tackle little bits and parts. We can make connections within our community. We can get to know our neighbors. We can get to know our farmers. And those are things that are really, really vital and important for us to do to create this local, sustainable food movement in order to create a healthier environment for our future. So thank you very much.